Hello, everyone, and welcome to the start of a new series. As I've mentioned a few times recently, with the passing of Kentaro Miura, I've felt a greater desire than ever to start reading Berserk. And yesterday, I decided, you know what? I can't really think much about reading any other new series. I just need to start Berserk now. So here we are. Now, I probably should specify that this is not a blind read through of Berserk. Berserk is one of the most famous and influential manga of all time, and as someone who has been, interested in anime and manga for a while now, I've become aware of a lot of the things that happen in Berserk. I know a lot of the major plot points and things that happen in the story. However, I have not actually experienced the journey of reading through Berserk myself, so there's still going to be a lot of stuff I don't know about. I won't have really experienced everything with the context of the entire story, and that will make it still a fairly interesting experience for me. I know for certain it wouldn't be the same as going through completely blind, not knowing anything about what happens in Berserk. But unfortunately, I can't wipe my memory of the stuff that I know, so I guess this is what I have to work with. For those of you who have been with my channel for a very long time, I would say it's probably going to be most similar to my Bleach reviews, where I already knew about a lot of the big stuff that happened, but I hadn't really gone through the journey to get to those things. And going through that experience is still very enjoyable, even knowing a lot of the important things that happen. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing here with Berserk. So what I decided to do is do a review volume by volume as I read through it. I'm not sure how long this is going to take, or how short this is going to take, because I read very fast. I read the entirety of Volume 1 last night, so I'm not sure how many of these reviews are going to come out a week. I don't know what kind of gap there is going to be between reviews. I know I don't like waiting a long time after reading something to do a review on it. I don't like waiting to upload something after recording it. So expect these to be pretty frequent. You will get more than one of these a week. You will get a few of these a week, assuming I don't get any kind of big interruption. So without further ado, let's start talking about Volume 1 of Berserk. I've heard a few things about this first arc of Berserk. I believe it's called the Black Swordsman arc, and what I've mostly heard about it is that it's not entirely representative of what Berserk is like on the whole. There seems to be two different... What's the word I'm looking for here? There seems to be two different layers to Berserk. You have the very surface layer, badass, violent, edgy, dark fantasy stuff. And then you have the beneath the surface, much deeper emotional stuff going on. Things about trauma and revenge, things like that. And the Black Swordsman arc is mostly the surface level stuff, which I can definitely see here. I would agree with that. But I feel like most of the reasoning for that is that this is when Miura was starting Berserk, and maybe hadn't really figured out what he was going to be doing with it yet, or at least had the general concept of it down, of a guy with a ridiculously large sword going around in a very grimdark world fighting giant man-eating monsters. Well, not all giant, but man-eating monsters, demons. And that's pretty much what this volume is. It's Guts goes around, he fights and kills monsters, and a bunch of dark stuff happens. So, for what it is, it's pretty entertaining. Right now, in this first volume, at least the first couple chapters, it feels like mostly sort of a monster of the week thing, where Guts goes around to different places and fights different monsters. In the first chapter, he comes to this town, and he fights the Snake Lord Apostle, Then in the next chapter, he's traveling around and fights a bunch of demon-possessed skeletons. And then in the last chapter of the volume, he fights a bunch of knights in a city. So, I feel like pretty standard beginning manga stuff, where it's just kind of the character doing something different just about every chapter. Though the last chapter of the volume is Guts seemingly starting this arc revolving around a specific apostle, because it is going on from the last chapter of the volume and seems to be continuing on into the next volume with Bayolet and stuff. But overall, it seems to mostly be introducing us to what it's like to live in the day-to-day life of Guts, and it's not great. He just goes around places, kind of gets the shit kicked out of him a little bit, and then kills a big demon. Now, I feel like this does a pretty good job at establishing the tone for what Berserk and Berserk's world is like, because it's pretty violent. Guts cuts quite a few people in half. There is a lot of violence inflicted on people. There's some pretty messed up shit that happens. You do have innocents getting killed. You have the priest and his daughter being killed by the skeletons in the second chapter. Or really, his daughter gets killed by the skeletons, and then her corpse gets possessed by a demon and then kills him. And then Guts cuts her in half. So I feel like that did a pretty good job establishing, the level of darkness that we're going to be having here at the bare minimum, because I know it gets way worse than this. But you establish a baseline of the fact that this world sucks to live in. It's terrible. And normal people will get killed all the time, just minding their own business around here. But also that Guts is a beacon for bad shit to happen. And if you are a innocent person around Guts, you're probably screwed. I should probably take this opportunity to talk a bit about Guts, because Guts in this first volume, I feel, is very reflective of what this volume is like overall in terms of the story, and that Guts is just kind of an asshole. There's not much to him other than the fact that he likes killing apostles, and he doesn't like weak people. He hates the weak. He thinks that, they should pretty much know that if they're weak, they're gonna die, and there's not really any use for them. Now, I know this is not at all reflective of what Guts is going to be like later on in the story as he develops. But there is still very clearly some stuff beneath the surface going on, especially with the fetus monster thing, the incubus, and Guts having these nightmares. We don't really see what the cause of those nightmares is. It's kind of safe to assume that it has something to do with the God Hand, because he asks the Snake Apostle about the God Hand. But we haven't really gotten into that yet. What we know thus far about Guts is that he doesn't really care much at all about your average person, and he just is very angry and wants to go around killing demons. We haven't found out the exact motivation for that yet, but safe to assume there is something there. So overall, I'd say that Volume 1 of Berserk is fairly solid. It's not anything super crazy in terms of the story or writing. It's pretty simple, but what it does a pretty good job with. Also, I can't believe I didn't talk about this earlier, but Miura's art is fantastic. It's nowhere near the level it gets to later on in his life. But this is just the start of Berserk, of course. And Berserk went on for over 30 years. So, just at the level of detail, quality of the art at the beginning, when Miura was just getting started, is already very solid. I really, really like the way that Miura conveys weight and motion. It's a little different from the way that a lot of other artists do, at least artists that I've seen. Motion at least. But I really, really like the way that Miura does it, and it makes Guts' sword feel so heavy. it feels like almost every time he cuts someone in half, you get like a double-page spread for it. It's fantastic. So I'm going to be interested in watching how the art style progresses over time. Reading all of Berserk over a relatively short time span. I'm going to be checking to see, how the level of detail, the style is going to change as the story progresses. So I'm quite interested in that, and I'm quite interested in seeing what happens with the rest of this Black Swordsman arc, because I have heard that a lot of people don't like it as much as Golden Age and a lot of the stuff that comes after it, but not that it's bad, just that it's not really representative of Berserk on the whole. So I agree with that, and we'll find out if that remains true for the rest of the Black Swordsman. So with that, that's all I have to say for this review. I may have the next one out tomorrow, probably. I have quite a bit of free time, so I'll be doing a bit of reading. Once again, you can expect these reviews to be out pretty frequently. I imagine I'll be caught up. I will finish Berserk in the month. Within this month, I will probably have all the reviews out. So there will be plenty of these for you guys to watch, and I hope you enjoy them. So for any of you who are watching my channel for the first time, this is my first video that you've watched, hello! If you enjoyed this, you should subscribe so you don't miss any more of these Berserk reviews. I also cover quite a few other series on the channel, so you can check out my playlists to see what those are. If you want to help support me and my channel directly, I have a Patreon. You can check that out in the description if you're interested. I also have a Discord server. We have a fairly nice community on there. So you can check that out if you want to chat with me or some of the people on there about the various series that I cover. And yeah, with that, that's all I have to say. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.